And at this time, Martha has graciously agreed to come up and share her sister.
When someone passes, there's this instant sadness that makes it really, really hard to reflect. But it's gatherings like this, when all the people are here, that give you a chance to really see Laura and get to know her through the eyes of other people. So later today, when we gather at the park, tell your stories, tell your funny stories, tell your sad stories, just tell them all, so that we can actually really collectively see her. Paige has set up a website on Forever Missed, and at that website you can add pictures and share stories and things like that. And so you can do that over the next, I actually think it might go forever. I think you said, honey. So please do that. So who was Laura Carly Roletto Joki? Let's start from the beginning. She was born the second child in this big family of 7 kids, big Catholic family. She was born in Butte, Montana. The first 4 of us were born there. First family, as we refer to it. Her name, Laura, that's our mom's middle name. Her middle name, Carly, is our grandmother's maiden name, so what a really lovely honor it was for her to be named that. She grew up mostly in Wallace, and there are so many memories from Wallace, I don't even know how to minimize it, but she got her first communion there. It's the first sacrament she got there. She learned to swim in Wallace, and anyone that went to Wallace knows that Wallace Pool was nothing short of ice cold. I'm sure you can all remember that. She learned to ski at Lookout, where she, of course, broke her leg. Really enjoyed all kinds of sports, loved playing basketball. But let's start with this. She grew up, like all of us, watching our mom care for others. Every time there was any kind of big meal, our mom, before we sat down, had plate ready. Somebody had to run this plate up the street to this person or run it to that person. You're going to church, you're going to swing up to this house and pick somebody up and give them a ride. Mom's lesson right out of the gate for all of us: do for others, make others' life easier, help people find joy, especially people that were alone. In Wallace, Laura really liked running track. She liked playing basketball, especially for Coach Jones. Just so many sports stories, but I'm going to tell you this one. I think I remember it correctly. So I think it was Wallace varsity game, and it's getting a little rough out there. And if I remember correctly, it was Julian LaChapelle that had had enough. She's on the Wallace team. She stops dribbling, picks up the ball, and just decks the other girl right in the face. So this brawl ensues, and it's quite rough out there. I don't know. I think they might have called the game. I'm really not sure, but here's what I know. After we get home, of course, Laura's had a long day. It's time to rest, time to go to bed, but no. Our dad, this Golden Glove boxer, has her right in the middle of the living room. Time to learn how to throw a right hook. How to stand, how to balance, all of the rest, none of this jumping around. No daughter of his was going to be on the court, maybe getting caught in a brawl and not know how to throw this right hook. Dad's life lesson to Laura and all of us: know how to take care of yourself. Now, I'm quite certain Laura never threw a right hook, but she knew how. She knew how to take care of herself. Another funny story is Mom and Laura were going to go shopping in Spokane for the whole day. So they went with Anna Suveg, Laura's friend, and Ivanka Suveg, Mom's friend. This is way back in the 70s. There's no cell phones or anything like that. So they're driving home, and Mom's driving, and flat tire. So Mom, of course, I don't know how to change a flat tire. Ivanka Suveg, I don't know how to change a flat tire. Laura, I don't know how to change a flat tire. Well, Anna Suveg, she knows how to change that flat tire. So she takes care of it. They get home, Dad's not too thrilled with the story. How can this be? So the next morning, now mind you, I'm sharing a bedroom with Laura at this point. So the next morning, bright and early, Dad's in that room, lights are on. What are we doing? What's going on? Well, Laura's going to go out there and she's going to learn how to change that flat tire. No daughter of his is going to be going around without knowing how to change a flat tire. I'm quite sure Laura never really ever changed a flat tire, down the road. But Dad's lesson: know how to take care of yourself. Anyway, Laura goes on full speed ahead. Anyone who knows Laura No, she goes full speed ahead for things. So she goes to BSU, she's playing field hockey, running track. So many softball games along the way. I am quite positive that one of Laura's favorite memories of all along the way, all of the softball games that she played with her good friend Janet Carpenter and all the others on Keith Green's teams, there's no doubt. Laura, she doesn't need any time to rest. She's got a lot of softball to play. So, as fast as she was, and she was pretty fast. I'd have to check with Keith, but I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say her on-base percentage was about 80%, because she was really fast. She was always the leadoff hitter. Anyway, 1986, this particular day, she's playing in this state softball tournament out of town, out of Boise, and I am actually on maternity leave having Jessie, so I'm in Boise. I don't get to go to this tournament, but Laura at this tournament was not quick enough that day, and this ball came and, hit her in the face, and, it was pretty bad. She was, most of you know she lost her eye and all of that, but here's the message that I received back in Boise. I get this message from someone else, it's not her calling me, so this is the message I get. She's been hit, it's bad, she's going to be in the life flight, she's going to be coming in this helicopter to Boise, and you guys are going to love this part. They tell me, Laura says, take baby Jessie to the Ibers box. They're going to take care of her so you can go to the hospital. In the middle of her trauma, she is taking care of this whole situation and arranging babysitters. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But I have no memory of how I got on the roof at that hospital. I'm sure the rules are different now. But that day, I was up there on that roof waiting that helicopter to land and all this, wind blowing around and all the rest of that. But I see the stretcher coming, and I see her hand reaching out there, so I'm running up and grabbing that hand, and I hear her tell the ambulance people, I told you she'd be up here. Like, she is running this show, full speed ahead. So anyway, she has surgery after surgery, and, no sight at this point, but they give her one more chance. Oh, there's at max a 20% chance that you might be able to regain a little surgery if you have the next one. Yes, I'll do it, she says. Well, you're going to have to go to Salt Lake because that's the only place they can do it. Fine, let's go. Then they say, well, we're going to insert this gas bubble in your eye, and you're going to have to look down. And you're going to have to look down for 6 weeks, and you can never look up. You can never look up. That's fine. Let's do it. Dad's life lesson kicking in. Know how to take care of yourself. And I'm telling you, that girl looked down for 6 weeks, and not once did she look up. Now, we all know it didn't work, right? It didn't work. It didn't matter. Full speed ahead. She took those 6 weeks off from teaching, and now she's back with really without a beat. So later that year, it's Thanksgiving time, and I had to work that year, and so I couldn't go up and spend Thanksgiving with the family like usual, so Laura says, well, I'll stay back, I'll cook. Before I know it, she's telling me all of these different teachers that she's going to have over for this meal. So-and-so's coming, so-and-so's coming. Now, we're in this tiny apartment. I mean, we have this tiny, tiny kitchen table. It really only sits 3 because we have to push it against the wall and so on. I say, where are we going to put all these people? And she looks at me without batting an eye and says, they have nowhere else to go. They're coming, absolutely. Mom's life lesson kicking in. Take care of others, help them to find joy. There is no reason for Laura to rest on this holiday. She's got people to help. Now let's talk about some of her coaching. You all know she was coaching. She loved coaching basketball and things, so she went on many, many, many bus trips out of town and so on. And one day she tells me, during those games, the bus driver just sits there. He just sits there during those games. And I'm just sitting there on the bus when we go, when we come back, I think I'll drive the bus. And I say, well, don't you get some rest on the way to the game, and don't you get some rest on the way home from the game? No, I don't rest, and on. She says, I think I'm going to do it. Now, I'm not one to really shoot down anyone's dreams, but I'm telling you, I look at her and I say, are you crazy? You're going to drive the bus? Well, she does it. She goes and gets her certification and so on, and she's driving the bus. She does many trips, So this one time in the winter, it's cold, it's dark, it's been raining all day. It's a long trip out of town. She gets back. Some of the parents are late picking up the kids and so on. And, at the end of this, you got to take the bus back to the bus barn. You're not just done when you get back to the school. So she takes the bus back to the bus barn. She gets out of that bus, and she's, got to get to the car. It's raining. It's just pouring, and it's all muddy and everything else. So she's not just walking to her car. She's kind of running. Well, as you can imagine, in this thick mud, her shoes get stuck, and out of them she goes. Now she's in the mud barefoot, and she's got to get back in her shoes. And anyone that's taught with her knows she likes to wear these little black flats, So now she's got to step back into these shoes with all this mud and so on. And she gets home, and when she walks into our apartment, I look at her. She's drenched. She's exhausted. You can tell she's got mud everywhere, including in her shoes. And I don't say a word. I just look at her, and she says, "All right, I'm done driving the bus." That's the end of that. All right, next comes Grant. So Grant, the love of her life, without question. Now, teaching had been the love of her life, so for it to get bumped down because of Grant, that says a lot. Grant, true partnership in every sense of the word, 31 years together. She was so, so happy with you and the life you guys had made. She felt so loved and secured and protected, really comforted and supported without doubt. The care that you have given her in these last 3 years, I was trying to figure out how to write this part, and I decided I would ask Mary, Joel, Jim, Jane, Betsy, John, siblings, let's find out the words. And here's what I asked. Give me one word. Now there's 6 siblings, so count these words here. This is what I got. Dedicated, unwavering, amazing, selfless, beyond compare, impressive, devoted, loving, admirable, tireless, selfless, divine, holy, loving, perfect. Now I'll add mine. Amazing, unbelievable, incredible, and outstanding. Grant, you helped her practice everything. You cheered her on. You helped her practice her writing to keep her fine motor skills going. You took her to hundreds of appointments. And I'm telling you that Mary, Joel, Jim, Jane, Betsy, John, and I, and this entire Roletto family surrounding you right now will be forever grateful. And you just consider us your cocoon. Now to the second love of her life, Paige. Honey, she wanted to be a mother. Oh my goodness. From that first day, she just loved you, devoted her life to you. She loved caring for you and really every single thing at every turn. So my wish for you, sweetheart, is that when you find the quiet times and you have some alone time and it's nice and quiet, you'll see her and you'll feel her. And I know you think that she was taken from you too soon, and I agree with you, and so does everyone else in this room. But I am telling you that when it's quiet and you pause, every lesson she taught you will bubble to the surface, and she will be there. And when you're ready, and if you let her, she will be your cocoon. And now to the teachers. Her teaching. She absolutely loved teaching. Crossroads, she loved that school and staff. But I want to make sure you guys know some stuff from the beginning. Because when she first started teaching, all she wanted was high school. It was high school. Way back when she was first applying, it was hard to get a job. There was a surplus of teachers way back then. And she just wanted that high school. So she was applying really everywhere. It's important to be employed, so she's ready. She does not get the high school job. She does not get a middle school or junior high job either, and not even like a K-8 or something. What does she get? Primary, K-2, okay? K first, second. But she loved those little kids, and I'm telling you, they loved her. She found a way to really touch them, and she enjoyed that time. She really, really did. She went on to a junior high and did some years at high school as well, but when she landed at Crossroads, she knew that was the school for her. She talked about it all the time. All the time. And the thing about an alternative school, particularly maybe middle school, besides the subject matter, she wanted those life lessons. She wanted to send out those life lessons. Be nice, help others, show kindness. And I think one of the most important things she wanted to teach them was about confidence. Lots and lots of kids do not come from maybe the best family life and support life there and everything. She wanted to build them up and make their day better, having been in her class that day. She was really unique in her passions and accomplishments. Yeah, she just loved Crossroads. That was her home. So we thank you guys for all of that love she showed her there. So about a year and a half ago, I was visiting, and she was, she struggled with eating then and struggled with speaking a little bit. It's a little bit hard to hear, but she wanted to get some of this barbecue that she liked, and it was a little ways away. So I said, all right, well, we'll go and get it. We'll go eat there. You can eat inside. No, we're going to go get it. We're going to bring it back. There's like this outdoor truck type thing. You can get the window and come back. So we drive out there. Really nice drive. She says, go up there, make this order. So I do. Come back, sitting in the car, waiting, and out of the blue, she says, I don't like this disease and I don't want it anymore. I said, I don't want it for you either. And what do you say, right? You're just trying to say the right thing. And she says, well, if somebody had to have it, I'm glad it was me and not any of you, especially the kids. So, I'm hugging her and trying to say the right thing. And what do you say? And she's saying something, I can't understand her, and I lean in, and I say, say it again, please say it again. And she says, the barbecue's ready, go get it. Okay. Now, this girl knew how to work. I am telling you, she had to work ethic like there was no tomorrow. So when she's trying to practice all of these exercises at home, and she knows what she's supposed to do, and I'm telling you, she didn't miss a single one. So she's practicing her fine motor skills and squeezing this clay and doing her tongue exercises and everything you can imagine. And I mean, it's a full-time job. It is a full-time job. You got to stand at this chair, and you got to step to the right, and you got to have a big step, and you can't drag your foot. And if you drag your foot, you got to start over in your counts. You got to have this many sets, and on and on and on. You do it from the right, you do it from the left, and then you go on to the next set, right? The next station in the living room, going all the way around. So I'm in pretty good shape. I say, I'll do them with you, so I watch her go through the whole thing, and she's doing it, and I'm just in awe of this, that she's just not going to stop. I mean, she's going to do every one of them. So I'm doing mine and everything, and then I hear her saying something, and again, I can't understand her. I'm like, what? And can you say that again? You dragged your foot. You have to start over. Okay. So as frail as she was determined. She wanted to get that vaccine. She wanted to sign up. When the very, very first sign-ups came, she's not 65, so they wouldn't let her sign up, and they kept trying. She's trying to say, I've got this disease. Grant's doing all of this, of course, trying to get her signed up. It's not going to work. Well, what does Grant do? Calls the governor. Governor makes a call. She's vaccinated. I'm telling you, the girl was not going to stop, right? She's not. You could only say positive things around her. She's wearing shirts that say positive vibes only, good thoughts only. You had to be positive. Just amazing. She's going to do the second trial in San Francisco. She went through one. That didn't work. She's on the second one. I don't need any rest. I can do it. Flying back to San Francisco, these days of really long injections and on and on and on. She's not going to give up. She doesn't need any rest. Mary Jewel was here about a month or so ago, approximately, and, she's leaving, and she says to Laura, what do you want me to tell everyone? Tell them I'm doing great. That's what she says. Tell them I'm doing great. So my mom had this book, Traveling Light by Max Lucado. I suggest everyone get one. She gave this book to Rose Levine. Rose passed it to others, eventually made it to Jody. Jody gave it to Jane. Jane gave it to me. Everyone's reading this book. It's all about the 23rd Psalm, releasing the burdens you were never intended to bear. Now, if there are ever two women we should listen to when they talk about a psalm or a prayer, it's my mom and Rose Levine. So I read the book. It's really, really amazing. And chapter 5 is called, I Will Give You Rest. The end of the chapter goes like this. Can you imagine the satisfaction in the heart of God when we rest in the tender grass? His pasture is his gift to us. This is not a pasture that you have made, nor is it a pasture that you deserve. It is a gift from God. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this, not from yourselves, is a gift from God. In a world rocky with human failure, there is a land lush with divine mercy. Your shepherd invites you there. He wants you to lie down, nestle deeply until you are hidden, buried in the tall shoots of his love, and there you will find rest. God's plan for Laura was it's time to rest. She's endured enough. She's handled more than her share. So in those last many days, trying to figure out what to say, everybody's trying to comfort her and do everything they can, passage after passage from the Jesus Calling book, reading to her. People are calling and talking to her, holding the phone up. There's voicemails being played. I know Amy Lynn had one of the funniest stories, and she had a reaction to that story. So, there were just lots and lots of them. But Laura, in her true fashion, just simply was not ready to go yet. She wasn't ready to rest. So I figured, time to pull out the big guns, Mom's and Rose's message from Traveling Light. So this last Thursday morning, I read chapter 1, The Luggage of Life. I read chapter 2, The Middle Sea of Life. I read chapter 3, I'll Do It My Way. Now, I had to enunciate the sentences a little extra in that chapter, right? I read chapter 4, The Prison of Want. I read chapter 5, I Will Give You Rest. Now, there are 18 chapters in this book, and I barely made it past chapter 5 when a few soothing words from Diana, best friend of 40 years, when it really was time to rest, and rest she did. But not without making a contribution, because here's the thing. There will be a breakthrough one of these years in this horrible disease called progressive supranuclear palsy, and when that comes, we will all know that other people are going to suffer less because of Laura's contribution. There's this new song by Laura and Elena. It's called The Other Side, and here's some lyrics. Don't you cry for me, because I'm in God's glory, and I can see his face, and it's amazing. I know you have doubts, but I see him right now. I promise he's real. Keep praying. I'll be waiting. Take your time. And go write a story that you can't wait to tell me on the other side.
Thank you, Martha. That was amazing. Although, I must admit, I was distracted for a little bit, part way, when you were talking about the fact that you had pulled your siblings and wanted them all to, give you one word that described Grant. I don't know you siblings very well, so I don't know which one of you is the raving rebel, but somebody actually said something about beyond belief, which is 2 words, and just one of you just can't follow the rules for anything. So this beautiful woman, this Bronco, so proud. You all, in so many ways, are a statement of her. And you need to realize that, and you need to remember that. But even as, we gather in a place at a time like this, and Martha, you did a wonderful job of blending past, the stories about her with her present reality and the hopeful of the future. That's what we need to remember. That even as we, in a lot of ways, at a time like this, we live in the past tense. We remember her for who she was. We gather in the presence of the Lord. We gather in a holy place. We gather with God's word, with the bread of life, as a statement not so much of her past, but her present, which is also her future, which also speaks to all of our futures. and the connection that remains. In one of our Catholic rituals, it starts out with the words, "My brothers and sisters, we believe that all the ties of friendship and affection which knit us as one throughout our lives do not unravel with death." Translated, you are not completely separated from her. She is not completely separated from you. The bonds of love continue to hold you. In the church, we give that a fancy title. We call it the Communion of Saints. But it means she is still watching. She is still caring. She is going to be with you in all of your life realities. And so there's no need for any types of regrets. It sounds to me just a little bit that I have experienced your family, that you didn't have too much trouble speaking your heart to one another. But if in fact there are regrets, things I should have said, things that I wanted her to know, it's not too late. You can still say them to her. You have a new patron saint. Later on in the Mass, you will hear in one of the prayers, "Lord, for your faithful people, life is changed, not ended." That's the promise of Christ. That's the promise of resurrection. That's the promise that we have. Laura knew of that. Laura knew the power of God's love for her, for each of us. And that's why the first reading that you chose, and I apologize for the confusion in that, but in the book of Genesis, it's taken from the time when Joseph, who was sold by his brothers into slavery in Egypt, and yet rose up to become a great government official. His brothers were forced to come to Egypt because of the famine, and they were starving, and they didn't recognize Joseph. And he was pulling little tricks on them, just trying to make them, worry or whatever. But he knew who they were. And in his heart, he had forgiven them. And so finally, when he reveals himself to them, these are the words that he spoke. And it's the words that Laura embraced. "Even though you meant harm to me, God meant it for good, to achieve the present end, the survival of many people. So now do not fear. I will provide for you and your children." They were words of forgiveness for Joseph, they were words of courage for Laura. They are words of hope for us all. Even though you meant harm to me, whatever that might be, there are so many things in life, it seems, that mean harm to us. PSP meant harm for Laura, but God meant it for good. We don't know why she had this awful rare disease. And sometimes when we search for why, we because we're so desperate to have some sort of an answer, we tend to pin it on God. Say, God did this to her for whatever reason, and then we come up with all kinds of pious things to say to let God off the hook a little bit. No. I don't know why. But I know that God didn't give it to her to punish her or to bring you or anything like that. But God has promised that he will take evil and use it to bring about good. That's what that cross means. Jesus on it. That's what that candle and the resurrection means. God is in charge. And we are not forgotten. I understand Laura put it very simply, succinctly, but beautifully. Nice matters. Okay? Why does nice matter? Nice matters because people matter. Nice matters because people deserve respect. Nice matters because we are capable of that. And that's calling forth the best that is within us. And nice matters because God will use it to bring about his good. One of my professors in the seminary, he said just something short, sweet, but I think Laura understood it, and Laura understands it completely. He said, Jesus promises you two things. Your life has meaning, and you're going to live forever. If you get a better offer, take it. Your life has meaning. Which is why nice matters. Laura knew that. Her life mattered. Even in suffering, her dedication to cooperating and hoping and praying that someday a cure or a treatment will come about. It's not just courageous, but it's loving. And as Martha said, when you finish up, to go and tell the stories, remember, but do so with a sense that Saint Laura is there with you. The life that you are celebrating, the love that you are recalling, it's not just Laura's life and love for you. It was God's gift to you, as she is God's gift to you, and hopefully to many others. So, yes, you'll be sad. There'll be that empty feeling, but let there always be hope. Let Laura inspire you to hope, to look for the good. And one other thing, when you were talking about the fact that your dad teaching her the right hook, a thought struck me. From a right hook, that we also go into the sign of the cross. God brings about good when we are open. God bless you, Lord.